The Democrats are pulling out all the stops for the midterm election. They're getting a little bit panicky because the polls are showing a movement toward the Republicans, even in areas that Democrats thought were completely safe. So, for example, Washington State, Tiffany Smiley is running against the incumbent Senator Patty Murray. Well, Democrats didn't think they needed to defend Washington State, but suddenly they do. Tiffany Smiley is running a really strong campaign. And think about it, this would be a very unexpected pickup if Republicans can win a deep blue state, Washington State. And so it looks like the Democrats are calling upon, well, they have the media already largely in their pocket. The media is doing brazen lying and lobbying for Democrats. One very amusing aftermath of the Fetterman debate, and I've been putting out some very sharp tweets about that. Poor Fetterman. I mean, I guess the case for Fetterman can be summarized this way. Yes, I'm brain dead, but Biden's brain dead too, and he's running the whole country. Why shouldn't I run Pennsylvania? Since when has being brain dead been a disqualification? But what I found laughable was that the Philadelphia Inquirer says our editorial team watched the debate and we decided that Fetterman won. What? So this is literally taking leave of their senses, moving into Crazyville, USA, just the Twilight Zone, as Debbie puts it. And so it's time to call upon the aid of digital media. And in this case, it's not Zuckerberg so much. Zuckerberg, in fact, had put, as you remember, a giant amount of money, almost $500 million into the 2020 election. He's not doing that in 2022, and I don't think he'll do it in 24 either. But Google appears to be doing some sneaky backroom stuff. Now, with Facebook and YouTube, and by the way, Google owns YouTube, the censorship is kind of explicit. You put out a post, they won't show it, or they ban you. And so it's above board. They have these rules and regulations. You can't discuss all these topics. And so there's a little bit of a Sovietization of our digital media. But Google operates kind of in the dark. And I say that because, Google has a virtual monopoly on search engines. There are some other search engines, by the way, DuckDuckGo and Bing, but Google is the dominant one. And of course, when you put in a search, you kind of assume that that the algorithm is going to give you the most frequently used results, that there's going to be a sort of a neutral or impartial kind of sorting of the search results. But see, Google gets to fool with that. They get to, you may say, manipulate the dials. And according to the Media Research Center, they're manipulating the dials in the critical key races for Republicans. In other words, the Media Research Center looked at a bunch of key contests. They looked at Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Missouri, Nevada, New Hampshire, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Washington State, and Wisconsin. And what did they find? Well, they found basically that when you search the Republican candidates, you often find that they don't show up in the top searches at all. If you want to find their websites, their information, you've got to scroll lower down, sometimes go to page 2 or page 3. And what this means is that Google is allowing media sites or even critical commentary about these candidates to get the top search rankings. Now, when you go to the Democrats, it's the exact opposite. The moment you put in the Democratic candidate, boom, their website comes up. That's one of the top searches. And so the Media Research Center notices a discrepancy in the way that Republican candidates are treated vis-a-vis Democrats. Now, this is perhaps not a surprise, but it is noteworthy that it's going on. It shows you the kind of, quite apart from election fraud, this is the systematic unleveling of the playing field. Republicans are essentially in the position of Sisyphus rolling the stone up the hill, and then you have all kinds of people trying to push the stone back down. It's a tougher job. Now, Google was asked about this, and they claim, oh, it's not true. There's no validity whatsoever. We are basically not playing favorites and so on. I don't really believe them, and I doubt that you do too. This is actually not something new for Google. They have been interfering in this way. I'm quite sure that they do it in other areas as well, but it's noteworthy that they seem to be ramping it up in the sense that it's become noticeable. It's come to the attention of the Media Research Center right on the eve. We're basically 2 weeks away from the midterms. I should point out that there are a couple of efforts on the part of conservatives to start kind of alternatives to Google. Now, these are being started late in the game, and it's not clear where they'll go. Todd Ricketts has launched a alternative to Google called Free Spoke. There's also a censorship-free web browser for conservatives called Tusk, Tusk. So all of this, I think, is revealing ways in which long-term we have to create our own institutions. In a sense, our own alternative to Facebook. We have Rumble as an alternative to YouTube. Fortunately, we now have Getter and Truth Social, and Devin Nunes will be on later in this podcast to talk about the FBI and the midterms. But I think it is disgraceful that Google, pretending to be a neutral arbiter of speech, is in fact trying to tip the scales for the Democrats.